Those little school chairs like we're going to school.
I know.
Kindergarten.
Welcome to the cabin, everybody. And this is going to be kind of a different video for us. We're going to be kind of talking about our life in general, but specifically based around this cabin that we're at right now.
We're going to call it a cabin discussion. This is we're going into our 5th winter overwintering in Alaska. We've been here for 4+ years. And we are not going to be spending this winter up at this new cabin that we purchased. It's very far away from our current home where we live. But we have a plan to get up here and to move. So the plan is to move.
Yeah, the plan is to move up here. And plans with us, we don't like to really talk about plans because with us, just plans change and nothing is set in stone until it's actually done. But we are trying to plan and brainstorm the best we can, and we're going to kind of share some of our plans with you guys today.
This is going to be a big transition for us, a big transition in our life and a new chapter. And we don't really like to say that we're doing things or we have plans for such and such until we actually are in the process of doing it. So it is a little bit hard for us, and I think we'll be kind of honest about that. There's a little uncertainty with the move, and just this whole process has been very time consuming. So we were a little hesitant about this, and I think we're still a little bit hesitant actually. But we're going to be jumping right in. We're going to talk about, what do you want to talk about first? Maybe why we decided why we're looking at moving?
Yeah, let's talk about
why.
Why? Well, you go ahead. What's your main reasons you want to leave the place where we're at, and we've worked for 4 years building it up. We put in the garden, the chickens, we've done all the work. Why would you want to leave that and come to a different place?
Let me start by saying Eric and I have been thinking about moving for about a year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half, 2 years.
A year and a half to 2 years or so. We've been thinking about it for a while. Had a lot of time to think. And when we first got to Alaska, we probably thought such and such, but our views have changed a lot over living here for a certain amount of time. And really, being honest, just want to throw it out there, there's nothing geographically wrong with like where we're at now. In fact, I really like where we're at now. It's an awesome place to be. But there were very deep reasons that we wanted to look into moving, and I have to say the first one, you're going to hear it a lot, is SPACE, space. So we have always been out of space where we're at. Definitely. In every way, shape, and form. When
we first moved up here, I had no idea that we were going to want to like get into building. I didn't know we were going to want a sawmill. I didn't know we were going to want to, just expand our place and build our own things. And we've kind of ran out of space at our place. It's like a 3.5 acre lot, but we're kind of suctioned to like a smaller area because we have the bog, and then there's, you can get through that and get to more of the property, but we haven't obviously developed back there. So we're kind of like out of space. Our house or the cabin where it was originally built it's actually pretty close to one of the property lines. I think it's like 17 feet from it.
It's a rectangle. The shape of our land, the way it's subdivided, is a rectangle. So it is
Right. And then the thing with that is adding on to the cabin, you're not supposed to go, I think, within like 10 feet of a property line.
There are easements. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we've anticipated at all that we would be doing as much that we are doing present day right now. And honestly, where we want to go in the future, the things we want to do even more, like you're saying, more building. Another note for sure is definitely the type of land. The area we live, beautiful boreal forest, but there is a lot of muskeg land, and there's a lot of muskeg land in general in all of Alaska. But that particular area is big.
Really wet
I feel like, and that really is a big thing for like excavation, going down deep, basement, stuff like that. And we'll mention that, but a basement is something that Eric and I really, truly want in our future.
Yeah.
And a root cellar, of course. And I just feel like that's just not absolutely a possibility there, right?
No, it's not. In Oregon, when we gardened, it was more like fresh eating from the garden. In Alaska, it's a little different because the growing season is so short that it's like just grow all your stuff really quick, but then you can't eat it all at once. So you have to can it, preserve it, things like that.
Another big thing for me personally, I don't know why I feel bad saying it, but I do, is the trees. So there's something called beetle kill where we're at, and it's very prevalent as far as like if you go north 3 hours, if you go south 5+ hours, if you go east west that amount of hours, you're going to hit trees that have been affected. And I'm not saying like it cannot happen up further north, but it is not really prevalent up here.
It's not an issue right now. No.
Yeah, so that is a huge thing for us. We knew if we were going to stay where we were at, we were so reliant on wood for heating that we were actually going to look into changing over our source.
Yeah.
And we have a sawmill, so we obviously enjoy building.
Yeah, and we've noticed over the last year, especially, that the wood the quality has just dropped down. When we split all our firewood this year, we decided that we're going to split it into like big chunks, because as we're throwing it in the wood stove, it's so dry and dead that it's just taking off and not lasting nearly as long.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of going into a lot of negatives, but I just want to say there's a lot of pros and cons in general to each location that we are weighing very heavily.
Yes.
Because it's a serious move is all I can say. I've even told Eric, I think that this is more extreme of a move than moving from Oregon to Alaska. I personally just feel that way, even though it is just a few hours north or whatever, but it just feels very feels very big for us.
We've learned a lot in the 4 years of living there, just about the land and resources and, how to do things living there. Moving up here, it's going to be completely different. It's another thing we wanted to get into is resources. So where we live, it's not, it's far from like a big city. I think it's an hour to the biggest city and then 2 hours from Anchorage. And you can pretty much get whatever you need if they have it.
You're talking about being further out maybe?
Yeah, where we're at now, it's a lot further from resources. Extremely further.
So that's a con. I would put that as a con. Yeah. Because you need to plan ahead way more in advance.
Yeah.
I was going to touch on our dogs. I know we don't really mention the critters all that much. We have 2 dogs, both about the same age. They're both about 13, and Peppy was our cat, Pepper, and I think she's 6 or so. And that, I think, is actually a part of this move too. I know it sounds weird because the dogs won't live forever, but it's kind of like, I feel like for me, it's a huge reason as to why our lifestyle is going to be shifting. Right now, Eric and I are very active. We go out, we lug the dogs everywhere with us. And I promise you, in the past, we took these adventures for them. They have been just wild in their heyday, and these dogs could go and go and go, and they still can, but they've slowed down a lot.
They've slowed down a lot. I think especially since we've just like moved to Alaska as they've gotten older. So they were like, I guess 9 when we moved here.
And they've really just
kind of slowed down.
Not health-wise per se. I feel like they're very healthy.
Yeah.
But
more like the colds. The cold, they're not as good in the cold. The cold affects them. They can't take the cold as much. And
they're not acclimated here. And so I'm pretty jealous when I see a dog like a husky running around here, because our dogs are not acclimated to this climate. They haven't been here since they were young. As we travel now a lot more, we're realizing that they're not having as much fun, and they have both. Bandit primarily has developed car sickness.
Yes, which is unfortunate.
Yes. So what I'm basically getting at is we're looking to change our lifestyle to be home a little more and do more project-based things at home rather than traveling so much. We can travel in the future, but right now the dogs, I think, really need some elderly care.
Yeah, and that goes into like another plan that we could talk about, and that's something we wanted to do here is kind of have a set up. We want this whole property, the cabin, the shop, whatever we have, to be set up so we could leave, for a week at a time. Yes. And we want to have an area set up for the dogs so we could leave them for, let's say overnight or whatever, so they don't have to get drug out and put into an ice fishing tent or on a mountaintop. And I don't know. Yeah,
when we were looking at our priorities of like moving, so space is one, acreage or land and type of land, but then also the plan is to develop, like having heated buildings here is huge.
Oh my gosh.
It's huge. It's number one for me.
Yeah, and we've lived in Alaska for 4 years, which is nothing compared to people who have lived here their whole lives, but it's a different climate and it's something you don't get used to until you've lived here. So
yes,
doing it again, doing the garden again, doing whatever, these buildings, these things we're going to be building again, we can do them knowing that we've learned a lot.
Differently with that experience we've had. Absolutely. Are there any, why do you feel like that was why you want to move to, or
going back to that,
infrastructure, you want to build better infrastructure. The
space we want to build, we enjoy it.
We want to get set up better here.
Yeah, set up better here. We want more opportunity. That's kind of the thing about Alaska is you have freedom. You can build what you want. No one's going to tell you it's wrong or whatever.
The outer limits.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. It's going to be, like I said, where we live. I do love it there. It's an awesome place to live. As far as kind of how we picked this exact area where we're going to be moving, It's kind of hard to say, but Alaska, you would think, since it's so big, it's this huge, massive state, there really isn't like as many properties for sale. There is, but not exactly what we were looking for. So it's slim picking, and I feel like this place is absolutely perfect.
Not trying to be drab, but that's the truth. That land is very difficult to find here, especially in large acreage at a low cost. But we definitely had to make this. We had to, like you said, this had to be right for us in order to even consider it. Geographically, Alaska is massive. You don't really realize that till you live here. I don't even think we really even conceptualize it, but the roads don't go really that far. The road system only keeps you, it really limits you, in my opinion, honestly. Yeah. So unless you're willing to go remote, which is fun. I did toy around with that fantasy just a little bit, but I think Eric and I love to adventure. We love to go out fishing. We love to explore. That's the best thing about Alaska, is not just the freedom, but what the state offers and you can go and see. I mean, the things that we can go and see, to me, is like, I couldn't even imagine not being able to travel. And
before actually buying this place, we were looking at other places actually in the same area where our cabin is now. And the longer we kind of thought about it, I guess, I don't know, we wanted to kind of try something new, maybe? I mean...
there's a lot of uncertainty with that. Like, I don't know what the word is. I feel like we're taking a risk when we come here, right? But there was a property that Eric and I looked at, and we really went pretty far into the whole process, I want to say, and then just kind of turned around at the last second. And this particular place too really took over a year. So when things go like that, it makes you, I don't know, it makes me apprehensive, shall I say.
Yeah, it's November right now. We first looked at this place a year and a month prior to now. And, it gives you a long time to really think.
Yes.
Like, should we really do this? Is this right? It's going to be a lot of work. Should we go through with this? Should we do it? And ultimately with this one, I feel like everything was right. We were excited about it. We're still excited about it. We are excited about it. We are. I'm like super pumped. I love coming out here. It's just a really fun place to be.
When you go into winter is beautiful here, but it's it's not like a down period, like you're not as busy, at least for us, but I feel like it's like a supercharger to get through it, because we're just pumped thinking about spring and summer. And so do you want to tell them what our like general plan is for transitioning?
Definitely. So we've been coming up here, we brought the Connex up here, we brought the shop up here. We've been coming up with like loaded trailers. We've even been coming up that we haven't been filming videos with, and we're basically like getting ready. So the plan is, as soon as spring hits, we want to be ready to just work and get things built. The first thing getting built is going to be that shop. And basically we're going to come up here in the spring. We're bringing the dogs, the chickens, the bees, the cat, and we're going to live here.
We think we're bringing the chickens and the bees. Sorry, I didn't want to...
We'll at least bring some of them, right?
We think. There's still a lot of like small details.
It's a plan. That's the plan.
The plan is, for sure, the big plan is the shop. And the shop is essential, I think, for us to make this move. Like we said, it needed to be worth it for us. And the shop is going to provide a tremendous amount of space.
Yeah.
And a heated storage area, which is just, again, a huge issue where we're at. We're living with our food. We're living with everything. And it's really gotten... It's just too tight, too uncomfortable. So we need the shop, and
and everything is still in the works with everything here, especially the shop. It's a 40 by 60. We have to decide, we want to do everything, or as much as we can ourselves, which is, I think it's going to be everything. We're going to have to learn how to pour a concrete slab. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to heat the thing. There's a lot of work that's going to go into it.
This winter is going to be, they call it getting your ducks up in a row.
Getting your ducks in a row, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of like researching, planning, thinking,
hauling stuff up here.
Thinking to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back a little bit to how we kind of found a place, I don't know why I feel like mentioning this, but to me and Eric, it was never really an option to get raw land and to develop it. I think we've kind of touched over that, but that is a whole separate expense, I mean, like, that hurt me just thinking about it. Not just financially, but
time.
Yeah. So there are folks out there building their homes, and seriously, power to them, because that is something I personally don't have the desire to do, and it takes years. And I think that's if you know what you're doing. We do not necessarily know what we're doing. So I think we have always prioritized our outdoor time, adventure, like projects outdoors, food, stuff like that more. And just building a home is not, we may do things to this home.
That's what I was thinking. This home is a great home, and it's a great start. and you have somewhere to live, and our plans are probably to modify this one to work a little better for us, whether that's add on, go deeper in the ground, build a basement. I mean, there's so many things that we could do. So that's all kind of really still in just the thinking about it process.
Yeah, I would say this place was almost perfect minus the loft. It would have been really cool with the loft.
Yeah.
But that just didn't happen. This is going to be perfect. We'll have the cabin. We can work and we can be here full time in the summer. We're going to say full time. And so that is why we're freeing up a lot of our time back where we live right now. We're not going to be doing some of those things that occupy so much of our time over there. So we have been at that property for a few years and we've accomplished quite a bit there. I feel like we've always been really limited. Again, I don't want to use that word, but like we have been because of the space issue, even though it's amazing otherwise. But so we've always built smaller. We couldn't really push our boundaries there. Now I feel like we're going to have that opportunity. And this was a hard decision for Eric and I to come to, but we needed to as far as the garden, because if I could like explain how much time we devote to gardening, I don't even think I could. It's both of us. I mean, from the seeds to the starting of the seeds in the cabin, the transplanting, the caretaking,
everything.
And the biggest is the fall or the late summer. And summer in Alaska is such a precious thing. You really have 3 months. And I mean, if you're doing excavation work, even in June, you can hit frozen ground. So, I mean, you really need to plan ahead. And summer takes like so much of our time is gardening and fishing. Am I right?
And processing.
Like you're getting at. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The fall, that late summer fall, which is also hunting season, we're in November and I still am feeling it. Like we're still doing that stuff. It's just so
We just dug up our potatoes like a week ago.
Yeah,
we're still canning. I mean,
we just put up our wood. We just finished up those activities before winter arrived.
Yeah, so we felt like we had to definitely shut some stuff down so we can get some stuff done here.
Absolutely. We're freeing up our time. Just because we're not doing this doesn't mean we're not going to be doing a whole bunch of other stuff. In fact, that is exactly why we are not doing that stuff, is because we foresee how much of a challenge and we're trying to be realistic with this planning, prepping, getting all this stuff done. Just a quick note about too the drive. The drive is long because we stop so much with our critters, and it is not a realistic drive, in my opinion, to do as like you drive there, you drive back. It's definitely a one-nighter drive.
No. In the summertime, if you weren't towing a trailer, you could shoot up here and you could get here in like 6.5 hours. Even then, I mean, it's like, it's far, yeah. You got to stay the night.
It's really hard on the dogs right now so that's kind of a huge concern.
And most of the time when we come up here, like this trip, we were in 2 trucks, 2 trailers. We were towing 12,000 pounds. There's 2 inches of ice on the road. I mean, it's winter driving conditions. I think our average in the truck said we were doing like 43 miles an hour.
That's once we sped up.
So it just takes a long time. This trip with the dogs and everything, I think it took, 9 hours?
Yeah, we didn't even make it from like the time the light came up to the time the light went down. But just barely.
Yeah, it's a long drive. We're trying to kind of pick things off slowly, like every few weeks, bring a load up here. And we got the Connex here. That's another point to touch on, right?
Yeah, you mean why we have it?
Yeah, we did the video on bringing the Connex up here, and no, it's not like some crazy thing that we're gonna like build like a house out of or anything like that. It's just strictly for storage.
Yeah, that was a big question. The Connex is just for storage for us.
And yeah, they make amazing storage. So we've got a bunch of stuff in there. They're weatherproof, and you can put stuff in there that you don't want to get wet.
We're fortunate to live in a dry climate, so like I feel like Alaska, much of it is dry. I could be wrong when I say that. So metal's not really good for like heating up and condensation, but we really don't have those issues here. And that's why the shop metal, really is great, an option for it, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
Another major concern from you out there was about our 2 things really related to food, which I mean, I understand because believe me, we take food pretty seriously. I feel like this whole move is actually for food and to develop better infrastructure. So the food to us is very important. And you're wondering, can we grow here? Can we garden here, right? And then also how much have we stored up, I guess, so to speak, that will last us? How long will that last us?
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
Right, until we can garden again.
Yeah.
So the first answer is yes, we can garden up here. It's zone 1, so it's quite a bit colder than where we're at now. But I know it can be done, and it's just going to be more challenging, and that's okay because we are okay to challenge ourselves. Ultimately, if we can have a root cellar, and if we can have heated, like maybe even a heated like I don't want to dream, but what is it called? A greenhouse and more polytunnels, we can probably really accomplish a lot more with our food here, I think, even than where we're at right now.
I have no doubt that our gardening here is going to be way more productive than our garden back home. The garden at home, it is just space. It's crammed into a little area. We don't have any room between the rows. Our plants are all planted way too close together. I mean, you get a lot of food out of there, but it is rough.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
And we don't really like to can. I mean, what I mean by that is that we prefer fresh produce. If you have a root cellar, you can store stuff. We've had experience with that, but you can actually store stuff. It's pretty amazing, and I don't want to say it's raw, in its raw form, so then you can process it. In the middle of winter, you can have a fresh, cabbage salad or a fresh sauerkraut. We just don't have that right now with the one building, our main cabin, very small, and so it fluctuates a lot with that wood stove that we have, and we have to carefully heat it when we leave. So really, it's just not good. We put so much work into canning. I think I estimated that we probably spend in a year, not necessarily like straight per se, but yeah, that's
what you added up all the days.
If you added up all the days, I'm confident that we spent over 2 months, and I'm not an exaggerator. So I feel like we spent over 2 months actually canning. That's just canning. That's just preserving. I mean, I'm not even talking like the cleaning of the vegetables and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's really a big chunk of our lives that we spend doing that. And so you think we probably have a lot of food stored up, and we do have a lot, but Eric and I are not preppers. So we personally just have probably 1 to 2 years worth of food. And I mean, like with grains and all that too. We try to keep our back stock. Yeah, no, not. I mean, if we were to just live solely off what we have, we probably have a year's worth of food.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But we divvy it up. We do buy from the grocery store, get certain things here and there. So I imagine that our food is going to last us a year, maybe a year and a half. Usually our canned food does last us a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely canned fish. We have enough canned fish for a year, 2 years.
Yeah, and I'm sure that next year we're going to go out and go fishing. I mean, there's no way that we're not. We love fishing too much. We might do some hunting, but we do go, like Arielle said, we go to the grocery store. We know how much food costs. We buy half and half from the store all the time, because I love to have half and half of my coffee. So as far as us, like not having a garden and not being able to like have food and eat, it's just not like that. We have a ton of food stocked up, and then as we start to dwindle down and run out of food, like I said, there's
grocery stores.
There's grocery stores. There's a Costco 4 hours away. So
yeah, there are grocery stores. We can get food if we need be. Yep. Not my favorite choice, but we will do that, of course. I personally don't feel like we're going to be fishing and gardening for a little while, but I could be wrong. There's a draw to do it, of course. It's very important to us. But I'm trying to get our things prepared so we can be better. Like, it's going to be difficult now, so we can get it better in the future, right?
Definitely. That's a good way of looking at it.
We haven't quite made up our mind completely about the chickens, those chickens, and our bees yet. If the bees overwinter, we may bring them. And I think we would love to take the chickens with us. There is some things why we're thinking that why that's not going to be feasible. And that is predominantly because we do not believe we're going to have an appropriate winter coop for them up here, where it's much colder than where we're at right now.
Yeah, the way we see it is where we live now, the chickens can go through a winter without us heating them. And here, because it's so much colder and it's already rough on the chickens at home, we feel like you just have to have a heated coop for the chickens. And heat is taxing on a solar system, and we don't even have a solar system here. We run off a little generator right now.
The solar's a big thing. That's another big project. I'm gonna jump back to that in a second. But the chickens, that's more of, I just want to throw it out there. There's probably just like a blanket statement that's like how we want to take care of our chickens. You can put them through -60, I am sure. Maybe you would only have a few die. I just don't know if you want to, and I think that's what we're
pretty harsh on them.
It's very harsh on the animals. You
miserable.
Can see it. They look like popsicles, okay, but they're still living.
Yes.
So we have different ideas how we want to care for our animals at this location. I think where we're at right now, I know there's a lot of questions as to why don't we do all this stuff there? Like, why do we not make this bigger there? Why don't we add on? Why don't we dig down? Why don't we build a new root cellar above the ground? All sorts of things there. The space is always a concern. Of course, our solar system is a certain size there.
Small,
so it does limit us, I guess, in that, so to speak. But also, too, we mentioned it's just not appropriate to build in the ground there. You'd really only be able to go like 2 feet or so before you hit water at certain times of the year. Totally not appropriate for a root cellar or anything like that. And you can't hear with the root cellar, Eric and I have not had that for a few years, and we really understood the importance of having it for 1 year. Or, I mean, I guess we really
understood how it actually worked too. And the thing is with a root cellar, you can't just take like a Connex or a Hill and just have it on top of the earth and just cover it or insulate it. There's nothing that's actually gonna keep it warm. So the only thing that kept our root cellar warm was how deep down we dug. The warmth actually came from down in the earth, and it kind of heated the area. You know, heat rises, and that heated our root cellar only because we were really far down into the soil.
And you forgot to mention, it only heated it to like 32.
Barely.
So it barely kept it above freezing. We did have some minor issues with the potatoes sometimes if it got really cold. Yeah. We weren't able to build the full thing underground because we hit too much water, so ideally you'd go deeper in the ground. And connexes are not designed to be built into the ground. I'm sure you could do it somewhere, but I'm sure here it would collapse. There's just a tremendous force with the water and the shifting. There's something called frost heaving here, which was huge for me and Eric to learn about, and drainage and just how the ground moves. Like, the best example is if you were to take like an excavator and go try to like, I'm sure you could, but the ground literally freezes feet, multiple, like 10 feet in the ground in some places. Yeah,
where we live, when you go to put in a water line from your well to your house, they dig it 12 feet deep in the ground.
So it doesn't freeze.
Which 12 feet. That's how far down they dig these water lines. It's insane.
There's a lot of reasons why we haven't done that there. I don't think we felt like it was worth it for us, at least in that exact little area, little property that we live on. Obviously, it is really hard to uplift and shift everything and transport your life.
Yeah.
But I think we're willing to do this because we've been weighing those options, and it's leaning more towards this option is really the better for the future. I don't know why I feel like mentioning it too, but we really like looked into everything, I feel like, for the root cellar option. I had Eric call around a whole bunch of septic tank companies, you know, like to put like a septic tank, and what was the consensus?
A really big septic tank.
Expensive.
Basically, it told us kind of what we knew. We have a major problem with moisture in the ground and frost heaving. And if you have it came down to this. If you took a big septic tank, I mean, I'm talking a big metal one, you put it in the ground and you buried it. Here where we live, people's septic tanks, if they're kind of empty, they can literally frost heave and shift and pop up and start coming up out of the ground. And that's kind of what it came down to.
Yeah, it even happens with pools too, certain places if they're not full of water. So you need that weight to weigh it down in the ground, and that was going to be an issue.
Frost heaving too, a lot of it has to do with how much moisture we have in the ground there, and it freezing and the moisture expanding.
Obviously, the site that we've picked out is not like that. It's much different, much better drainage. So we envision that should not at all be a problem here for excavation issues.
Yeah, and that is the plan here, is to put in a root cellar 2.0. Let's talk about what our plans are for here next spring.
Spring thaw. So when
when do you think it'll be?
I believe
late
it's
May?
a little bit faster here because they have less snow, and you do have that strange thing happen when you're more
your days get longer.
Alaska. Yeah, the days get longer. I want to say it may even be a little bit warmer. I don't know why I'm squinting, but it's possible it may not be warmer at all. Maybe kind of comparable.
Okay.
The winters are a lot more extreme.
First thing we're going to need to start building is we're going to need our sawmill in action. So we're going to build a little home for the sawmill. Permanent home for the sawmill. Next will be the shop. And I have a feeling that is going to take up just pretty much the whole summer.
Yeah, 3 months.
So we're going to be working a lot on that. And then during all that, obviously, we're going to be having just other things going on. But another thing we're going to want to try to fit in is to plan out a solar system and a battery bank and an inverter and get all that put in.
If the solar doesn't get done, I think we could overwinter here. The shop's crucial because that's going to be for us to put basically our whole livelihood right in there.
Yep.
To have it heated so we can move here, because this house just is not big enough to move.
No.
Not at all. And the sawmill doesn't have a home where it's at right now, so it'll have a perfect home here.
Yeah, we want to do like a concrete slab for it. We want to do a cover for it and just...
So you can use it in the winter.
Yeah, really have a good, solid area for it. You know, back where it's at, it's just kind of out in the open.
Another upside to this place is that you can actually have a semi-truck in here and deliver logs. So that's really important to us, considering going forward, right, with building with the sawmill.
Yep.
Where we're at, the trees are on a limited time frame, and it's just not an appropriate property to have, you know, a semi-truck come in there.
Not even just a semi-truck. Where we're at now, we have 2 trucks and 2 trailers. So when we have stuff on our things And then we have like a pile of logs there for sawmill. We have a pile of logs here that we've cutting around for firewood. I mean, it's just...
Space.
I backed into the fence the other day with your trailer, I forgot to tell you. So those are the plans, first year plans, and hopefully we get that all done. Maybe we'll get more done, maybe we'll get less. And then next year, we want a garden. So I think we want to put in a garden and put in a root cellar.
I think it's so overwhelming to me personally, but yeah, I didn't really want to make a garden before we have somewhere appropriate to store it. I don't want to put ourselves in that same position. So I think that building the places to store it first would be essential. Looking into making a chicken coop, looking into where we're going to garden, getting the soil prepped and all that stuff.
And also another thing is we are planning to take our garden at home, take all of that soil that we've worked on for 4 years, take our compost pile, put it in a big pile, and then eventually put it in our trailer and start hauling it up here.
We are planning on moving the garden.
We're going to take the dirt with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe even some of the plants too. We'll see about that when we get there. But this is years in advance, so I don't know how much, if you wanted the truth, I don't know how much Eric and I can achieve when we don't have other tasks at hand, because right now we tend to spread ourselves thin. So I'm really looking to not spread ourselves thin. I'm looking to spread ourselves thick on one project.
You're all about that.
Yeah, so just one project at a time.
Yep.
Kick butt, get it done, and then
focus all of our energy on it. Arielle and I kind of had something funny, not happen to us, but just a thought when we were like, oh, we're moving. And that was kind of our move history. And believe it or not, since we've been together for
like 15 years, yeah,
a long time. We moved out, as soon as we could, and our home in Alaska, where we live right now, that's the longest we've lived somewhere.
Yeah. So Eric and I moved out at a young age. Well, I was a little bit younger, and then we moved to an apartment for maybe like 2 years.
Yep.
Not even, and then we moved to another place for a little under 2 years.
Yeah, a house my dad owned, where his business was. We lived in that little house for how long?
Like 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. Some of these were a year and a half. They weren't actually that long. And then we bought our first home in the Bay Area where we're from, and we lived there for almost 3 years. Yeah. We moved out of state.
To Oregon.
We lived there. We rented for 6 months, and then we moved into a home for about 3 years.
Right.
When Eric came up with the crazy idea to move to Alaska.
Yeah, and then
and then I want to say it may have even been your idea. I have a harder time. I get a little more attached. That's all.
That's okay.
You're excited for the future.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited too. I just see a lot of the drawbacks too. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just laughing. We get a lot of people are like super stoked that this place has a bathroom, and they like, is that why you're moving? And yada yada. I'm telling you right now, we could totally add on a bathroom to our other place, and we could totally do it. It would take it wouldn't take that much of a summer to put in a bathroom, a shower indoors. We do not mind showering outside. We don't mind having an outhouse. We don't mind not having any plumbing problems. I mean, it's just super simple. It is going to be convenient, but it's not like a deciding factor for us at all.
I think that's what you were getting at. Like, it wouldn't actually be that easy to put in a bathroom where we live. It would cost a lot and be time consuming. But that's not a deciding factor, right?
We don't want a bathroom and indoor plumbing that much to put one in. It is nice. This place has one. That's all. It's just nice.
Yeah, I think it's more than nice. I think it's really nice. Yeah,
for some reason the outhouse is like extremely far away from the house.
I think that Eric is going to appreciate the bathroom. I think you're under.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. No, it wasn't a requirement. We weren't like, yes, the place needs to have a bathroom.
No.
Not at all. Not even close. That is a big drawback at our place, though, is the space, the lack of the way our water is set up. Right, we could change it. It could be changed, but our water's not hooked up to the house.
Yeah, and that was another thing I wanted to touch on too. Was when we first started talking about solar and what we're going to need here for power, I was thinking maybe just take our solar system that we put in. I think we did like 3.5, 4 years ago. Bring it here. Run off that, maybe get a couple more batteries. But as things are kind of progressing and we're thinking about lighting and power tools in a shop, one thing that's different with this place is the solar system is actually going to run the well pump, which draws a lot of power. Where we live, we run the well pump off of a generator. So I think we're going to build a whole new system, and it's going to be a little bigger.
It's going to be very modest, though. It will be in the grand scheme.
4 to 6 panels, we're thinking. Maybe like a 5,000 watt inverter, maybe like
8 batteries max.
Yeah,
I think
probably. Yeah, we have a 2,000 watt inverter at our house now, so we're just gonna basically maybe do like double the size.
I don't really know much about solar, but I know that we love solar.
Yes.
I love solar. Eric loves solar. It works for us. It works great. This place is appropriate for it. It makes total sense, and we enjoy it. And I don't know why. It just works really well for our life. Starting seeds though is very demanding, and then if we're going to be heating the chickens at all or providing heated water, that's going to be demanding too. Those elements, heating elements are very, and what's the one, block heaters, certain elements
block
for
heaters
cars.
for trucks. And with us with solar, I don't know if we're just I like to really take care of our batteries, so I like to really keep them fully charged. And I think what we're going to be leaning towards here is having a generator that kicks on when you get your batteries to a certain level. That way we can leave for a few days. The generator will charge up the batteries. We can leave a chicken heater water. Is that what it's called? Water heater?
Yeah. I don't even know what it's called. Honestly.
Yeah. And then just things like that.
I think we kind of jumped around there, but yeah, it's definitely time for us to move. That was what we were getting at. It's our move.
Yeah.
Our move history. It's time.
It's been 4 years. We're ready to go again.
We're evolving. We're shapeshifters, I like to say. We don't really... I think at first, I kind of always... For me personally, when I grew up and got out of school, I always wanted to be very stable, have like the same thing, like just plan ahead, like 30 years, just know exactly what I was doing. I'm not saying you're not like that. I don't really know exactly how you are, but I think that you've taught me to be more, I don't know if I want to say go with the flow, but more like, what's the word, spontaneous. So we now are much more spontaneous in the way we live our life. And I feel like we evolve and we just get very, I don't want to use the word we get bored, but we do like to just change and grow.
We like to be doing new things.
We're busybodies.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Everything we've done here has been like the first time we've done it. And we're always looking for like new things to do. We're looking for new places to go.
Oh, yeah.
New skills to learn.
And time is our most valuable asset. We know that. Time is everything to us. We only get this time and we need to use it. We'd like to use it wisely.
Yep.
So we want to just keep I don't know if the word's expanding. I'm going to use the word evolve and growing.
Evolving our life, yeah.
We're not stagnant. We're trying to keep changes and keep ourselves up. That's really what this is. This is definitely a risk and a leap. And I think that a lot of times in life we take those leaps, right? And you have to just...
Oh my gosh.
Our life, constant leaps.
It's not like, oh my gosh, you bought a new place, congratulations. It's more like it's stressful. It's
hope you don't die.
It's hard work. It's an extreme drive. Every time you drive here, it's like you see multiple cars on the sides of the road flipped over. I mean, it's gnarly.
And I have felt that from some of you viewers, and I totally I agree with you, because it's stressful. There is something to be considered. We are leaving something behind. We are taking on something new. It's a risk.
Yeah.
And I hope we're in the air, so I hope we touch down. We'll see. We'll find out, right? For me personally, some of the things that we are leaving behind where we're at right now, I think that's a bigger deal than moving, because we can do this again. We can move and we can rebuild. We can do that. We can take that experience, like you said, and apply it here. We now have more space, but the things that I feel like are being lost, I don't know if that's the right word, there's always sacrifices. And I think when you live the lifestyle that we live, the sacrifices a lot of the times are in fact people. That may sound harsh, but it is true with families and friends and relationships, because we are so independent and do all the things that we want to go out and do. Call it selfish, whatever. It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. So we choose this life. And it's not like I'm saying we choose that over people. It just means that we have made some friendships, we've made some things, and I kind of am saddened sometimes when we leave those behind.
Definitely. We live around awesome people. We've made great friends, great neighbors. I mean, the best you could ask for.
The best
ever.
Ever.
And we're going to be leaving that behind. We don't know what we're doing with our place where we live at. We don't know if we're going to sell it, rent it out, whatever. It's ours, so we can just kind of decide what we want to do with it as time goes on.
Yes, big question was how close is this property to, is it closer to our remote cabin? So Eric and I have one remote cabin. We access it via snow machine on the river and by
in the summer,
in the summer. So it is not closer.
No, so where we park the truck to go to that place, at the house where we live, or the cabin, it's half hour in the winter, driving slow. So you just drive down there, you get on your snow machine, and then it's like a 5-hour snow machine ride.
The trip takes a long time, yeah, like you just said.
So this to there is like, on 10? A great day, just to get to where you park your truck is like 6.5 hours in the truck.
And then a multiple hour.
Ride. So it's further away.
And I think Eric and I, when we made some of those plans, like we bought that first other property that we're in the process of kind of finishing up and looking to sell. Nothing's there. It's pretty much raw land, right, with the driveway. That we had these ideas like, oh, maybe this. oh, maybe that. And I don't know. It's sometimes like this goes back to our uncertainty. Maybe we're not following through. I don't know. Things just change. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
So I would love to keep the place on the river. It's been challenging to take our dogs there, but I think maybe it's something that we can do in the future. I don't feel like I'm ready to like give that up.
No.
Not at all, honestly. Honestly, you
I
guys,
like the river cabin.
we still have the pike story, so there's a monster out there.
We still got to catch that big fish.
We have to at least see it one more time. The human thigh is what we like to refer it to.
Yeah, we're not done with that place.
Like Eric said, we don't really know for certain what we're doing what we're doing with our main place, because we don't even know if we can get out of it. So like if we can get out of it and get over here, that would be the first step.
Yeah.
And that's a year to 2 years in advance, because we don't know. I'm not trying to sound uncertain, but I don't know. I want to talk with conviction, like we know what we're doing. But part of me is like, what if it doesn't work out? So it will work out. It's going to work out, but we're speaking in advance.
Yeah. This is a whole different place, whole different climate. We're unsure of everything. The plan is to move here, but we don't know. So
we're gambling.
So we do a lot of fishing, a lot of salmon fishing, a lot of pike fishing, whatever, from where we live. And we get a lot of questions on if we can still go fishing living here. The answer is totally yes. We could still go to every single spot that we went fishing before. Some of the driving is going to be further. That's fine. Alaska's huge. If you want to explore Alaska, you got to drive or you got to fly, just the way it is. We love driving. We love going on road trips. So it's not an issue for us.
No, yeah, it's not necessarily closer to the fishing spots that we go to by any means, but there is different fishing up here. I'm sure we would still, once we get situated, go fishing where, well, I don't know what we'll do by then, but we're still planning on fishing. There's not a body of water on this particular piece of land.
No.
Which is actually excellent.
It is excellent.
Which is actually excellent, because we do not want water right here. We don't want, it's really sounds lovely to have like a beautiful lake or river running through your property, but we're looking for no water, right? We want full usable.
There is water everywhere you go here. You can get
we can get to water very quickly.
Yeah, we wanted a plot of land that was healthy, flat, and
live trees,
buildable, and that's what we got here.
Exactly. That actually touches on the subject I was talking about earlier about what we would be leaving behind, kind of a con. So beyond humans, we would be leaving behind. I'm sorry about that.
Bo, you okay?
Beyond humans, we would be leaving behind our experiences our experiences. And what I mean by that is the places that we've explored, the things we've learned, our knowledge. Is that what I'm trying to say? Eric and I have put a lot of energy into learning things where we were at.
In that area, yeah.
And not just like that specific area, like where we go forage or where we go do that, but within a few hours from there.
Oh my gosh,
this is like a whole new world. It's a whole new place. Yeah. And I know we can take that knowledge, but really a lot of it is going to be lost. It's not comparable in some aspects.
We'll have to start over.
So we have to start over, and it's kind of hard because we've learned a lot of that on our own, putting in the footwork, you know what I mean, so to speak. So we do research, but then we go out and do, like when there's trails, we take them, we learn them, we figure it out. We don't have like someone telling us per se. So we learn, and that comes at an expense, and we're going to have to do that again if we want to get out there and learn the new ways, right?
Yeah, that might be another con of this place, is it's not as good of like a central location to like everything Alaska offers.
No.
This is kind of like it's more isolated, yeah.
It's further away from things, your resources. This is another big topic. There's not a rental equipment place nearby this. So no. This is a huge thing for us. We're thinking about this. We know we need to do something, and we have the space here to store something if we were to look into a tractor, but
we'd love to get some sort of piece of equipment.
You do need to be more, we need to be more, self-reliant. We just need to plan ahead even more, because we already do that now.
You need to be even more dependent on ourselves.
We already have like a backstock now, like 2-3 things of stuff when you go, but we need to be more dependent. More dependent? Independent? Dependent on ourselves.
You need to be more dependent on me. I'll be more dependent on you.
Okay. I think that about summed it up. Maybe that explained as to why perhaps we didn't seem more transparent about the whole thing. Is just in general because of our apprehension and uncertainty. We do plan on telling you what the plan is. So it is right now to move here through a summer and start on our infrastructure here, I guess we would say. I don't think we missed anything. I hope we didn't miss anything.
We appreciate you guys watching and leaving the comments and asking us these questions. And if we missed something that you guys really want to know, leave it in the comments section. We'll try to get back to that question and address it.
We hope that you enjoyed the video. Eric and I we've lived here for 4 or 5 years, and we are just speaking from our perspective. That perspective has changed, I feel like, a lot since we first got up here compared to how it is now, and I'm sure it will continue to change and evolve. But we are just getting ready, getting set, talking about our plan, and hopefully everything goes all right. So wish us luck, and thank you for watching.
Yep, and we'll see you guys
On the next one. My life is complete. You know, it's like really not acceptable to have certain addictions, but it's totally acceptable to have a caffeine addiction.
Keep telling yourself that.
And no one would even question it if you said I drink such and such amount of coffee cups a day.